Okay, this is my G36, and today I'm going to work on the trying to remember what these are called. These buttons, the microswitches. The microswitch. I bought an SHS version 3 trigger housing setup. So here's the trolley, and here's the housing, and this looks very nice. I have to say, it looks very, very, very nice. So I think this will work perfect. To describe what is going on, there was a wire here that was exposed, and I thought that that was the reason I was having an issue where I couldn't hold down full auto. So after replacing the exposure, it did not do anything. The same symptom was still there. Semi have no issue. It's when it's in full auto. If I'm holding down the trigger all the way, it stops. So if I hold down the trigger just lightly, it shoots fine. Now, I knew for some time that there would probably be a problem with the microswitch because it's all over the internet. Everyone talks about it. I guess the specific word is debounce, but from what I can say is that this issue, it's been a long time since I've had this happen, so I think it became more of an issue because this is a DSG. It's got a heck of a lot more vibration. But what's going on is I go to full auto, and if I slightly hold the trigger, I can actually stay in full auto. It's not until I pull the trigger all the way back that it gets cut off. It's a little ant or something. Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and open her up and see if we can switch this out and then take apart the microswitch and see what's going on. Try to make this easier to see on video too. Okay. So the reason I went with this SHS set was because the tablet plate that I use currently is really awesome too, and it was cheap. So the other SHS version 2 that I had of this is a version 3, was actually, it was okay, but this one looks to be really nice. So we're going to have to check how this cycles through and make sure that things work fine. Here's the micro switch, and the way this worked before is this piece right here just ran across the top and pushed it down. I just checked right now to make sure that it did push all the way forward and there wasn't a cutoff mechanically over here, which there is not. So the problem is definitely inside this thing and opening this up. From what I can tell, I guess you'd open it up like this. Looks like it seems to be opening. She'll probably bounce some parts at me, so we'll check that in a moment. What I want to do is see if we can get this in there and fit. If we're probably going to have to do some modifications to make it work properly. You're definitely not going to need this. This would go to the microswitch. This is what you are going to use. Right now I can already tell you there'll probably be an issue. I mean, look at the differences. This one's got really big circles, and that one's really small, and the position it's in is a little different. You can see right there. If these start at the same back area, you can technically probably steal this if you had to and modify it, but we're going to find out first how much modification is going to have to be done. So this goes in this way. There is no screw here to hold this in place. And I can already tell you right now, there is going to be some modifications to get this in here. Not looking too forward to that. I really hate doing all these little mesh issues and dremeling it down properly. Also, the way this goes in, I have to remember that the magazine can clip these wires, so it has to be soldered a certain way. So looking at this, there's no way to run a wire through here. Both wires might have to go through here, which would be a big, bad pain. This looks like it's going to have to be flattened here too, from what I can say. So I'm already running into a bunch of little damn issues with getting this in here. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge for sure. I think I'm going to want to put it like right there, and then all this metal is exposed. I mean, it's touching everything. So that's not looking so good. And this is definitely not going to be drop in right here. You can just tell it does not. There's no way it's going to fit in there. And did I have it in the right way? Yes, I did. So I might have to cut down some metal or some plastic. It's going to have to follow a line so that it stays nice and straight, so I'll probably have to cut down some metal and some of this plastic. So first things first is getting this in, and then worrying about the rest. So the way I think I'm going to do this is measure these two here. You can see they're about the same width right there. This is what's going to be in the way. This whole section right here. So I may have to actually cut down the whole section right here. This whole section is going to have to really be cut off. I have to take everything out of the gearbox and make sure that nothing can get metal into it. So I take all the gears out and everything. Just a bunch of work. Tedious work. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then let's go ahead and take this apart right now. Where's my other screwdriver? I'm just trying to be too careful, and I shouldn't be careful at all. I should just undo this. It's definitely coming out. Does the other side have a way to come undone? No. Alright, so I'm about to pop it off right now. Move this out of the way so we can see what's going on. I think I hold it this way. I think this is the top. I'm not really certain, so these pieces will probably come flying out. That's my guess. Yeah, it looks like it probably goes this way. Not really certain. Oh, that was the top. Okay, so here we are here. And this is really interesting. Okay, so if I push this barely, I get a full contact. If I push fully, I still have contact. What's probably wrong is there's probably something with the actual contact, so you have to pull this piece out if you can and look at it. And right away I see a lot of blackening on it, on the tip. The other side, not so much on the other side. Now, the other, I can see that maybe if I did some cleaning and some fixing up in here I could get this to work again, but I really don't want to keep opening this up to maintenance this piece if that's what's going to happen. Makes no sense. It doesn't look like it applies a lot of pressure. Okay, I think I see what's going on here. Let's get a really close-up look. Okay, so as I push this slightly, that's good contact right there. Where you're looking is right here. Okay, that's good contact right there. Nice and flat. If I push more, see, you push it all the way up, the contact starts to unflatten and come in at an angle. What will happen is this will come like this. Sorry, I'll try to show better on video. This will come at an angle like this instead of flat. So just so you can see, oh, not cool. This just goes in, I think, anyway, it doesn't matter. Maybe it does. Dropping things today, man. Great thing about this is I do not have little hands. Okay, so I'll put that back in there and try to demonstrate again. Alright, so this would be looking straight to you. As soon as I push this, you can see it's flat right here. It hits this flat, this spot right here. Oh, sorry. Hits this spot right here flat. Okay? If I push all the way, it creates an angle which is barely touching, and I'm sure that's what is cutting off right there. So what's going to happen, see right there, would be good, but then all the way it's just not. What's going to happen is even if I do modify this to work, it probably will get worse over time with all the vibration in the gearbox. So I'm going to do the crazy thing of, well, and I guess it's not crazy, just the right thing, and take all the time to add these parts in. Okay, so I like to go over my game plan first, and you can see I have taped this whole section so I'm not getting any grime in the bushings and so forth in some areas. From what I've known in other version 3 gearboxes, this tip right here is supposed to touch a post. Now looking at this, this also depends on this cutoff right here where it's positioned. What I can say is if this was set up like that, then it looks like I just need to cut down this surface right here and the top of this surface and some of this in here, this section, so that this can fit flushly in there. Once I do that, I just cut off a little bit around this area, and I should be able to put the wires in here and have them come out or have one fold under. That's my game plan. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I probably would not ever want to attempt this again. Like I said, I'd rather go to one of these, but for the sake of this video, switch to this, and now we have to verify that everything's good to go and that there's plenty of room and everything's good. So first things we're going to show here is how it's fitting in there. Fits in there flushly because here's the tappet plate, moves back and forth. So we got to show all the modifications, but let's make sure everything works. As soon as you tap it, I feel it hitting the trigger contacts, and then you have to lift it. Trigger contacts are disconnected. Does re-grab the trolley. Good there. Now the question is right as you connect, does it disconnect so you don't have a full auto on a semi shot? Move this forward so I can see, and as soon as we connect right there, try again. Can't see what I'm doing. As soon as I connect, there is a disconnect. Okay? So let's go ahead and open it up and show. Alright, so up close inspection, you can see that the trolley is fitted inside this trigger contact housing, which has been drummeled on this side between the two screws here. There's a screw here and a screw here. Okay, so it's been drummeled in between. You can see that's in between for this section of the trigger contacts housing. So let's get a up close and personal view, because this is going to get really dramatic. Okay, so I guess it was dramatic for me because it was a lot of work. How much time did this take? I want to say about maybe 3 hours of work. Okay, now you may say, well, that was a lot of work, but you got to remember, you're putting something in here that doesn't fit easily. This kind of modification is not going to be easy at all. So we've carved away everything here. As you can see, there's all this carved out. Then there had to be a lot of cleaning, try to cover everything and then clean afterwards. So all this is drummeled down. This is drummeled down. So this side's not so bad to fit it in. What it is this side is just absolutely horrific amount of work. So first thing is the tap-up plate. Now let me kind of explain. When you put this in here, you're not necessarily going to get it in the perfect spot that you want. You cannot really fit it in between, because if you did, you would be messing up the other side of the shell and messing up those screws. So what I did was I fit in between the screws. Now here you can see cutting from above to make it sit in there right. This cutting is so that, again, it fits between the screws right here on this side. And you can see JB Weld and extra cutting on the trigger sled right here. Then there's the trigger trolley right here. There's been a cut off the top. So you can see there's only one piece that it connects to. Instead there's like 2 bars sometimes, but there's only one. There's a cut back here to hold the trigger trolley spring in the middle position. And then there's some plastic. There's some plastic put on the trolley so that it stays in the middle of this housing. Sorry about that, I had to help my mom out. Okay, so the trolley has some plastic inside. I don't know if you can see that very well. There's some plastic inside on the trolley glued and cut to the shape so that the trolley stays in the center the whole time during. This way it doesn't click and hits the trigger contacts perfectly straight. As you can see, that hits it perfectly straight. What else is done here? There's been multiple cutting. The screw's been drilled in, super glued in here a little bit to hold it in position. So basically everything that's needed to be done. There was cutting on the trolley itself and the cutoff so that the trolley could sit in the center. They were a little too wide. Now we have proper spacing. There's cutting at the tap-up plate right here to allow the trolley to fall upwards properly and to give the space proper, because what happens is this is put in at a little bit increased up higher. So because of that, there's had to be modifications to various parts. You can see here there's cutting here so that the spring wouldn't get in the way of the trolley sled right here. So there was multiple modifications here, cutting down some of this, cutting down some of this back here. Multiple modifications to get this all situated.
What's key here is that Arias testified she wasn't jealous of this woman at all. She said that she didn't even want to be Mrs. Travis Alexander anymore. But remember here, it speaks to motive, because the prosecutor has painted her as a jealous stalker who killed Travis Alexander because he wasn't taking who she was taking this other woman.
Yeah, Randy, joining us again tonight, Nancy Grace for
Precipitation, water droplets become large enough to fall to the earth. This can be rain, snow, sleet, or hail, depending on the temperature, and then surface runoff. This is rain, snow that flows into streams,
Alright,
rivers,
checking the
canals,
trigger
things like that. So this is all part of
trolley,
the
so
water
I go
cycle.
forward
Yes.
right here.
So here's the water cycle, and then I'll ask the students, okay, so
As
if
the
we
piston
have an ocean,
passes.
we start to warm up, what's gonna happen to the water? And then students will say, hopefully, evaporation, and they'll say, what about plants? What was the one that we learned? That, if the water's, how does plants release water
There you
into
go.
the atmosphere? And then hopefully they'll say, oh,
There's the
evaporation
AG
and
cycle
evaporation.
on the
Okay. What
cutoff.
happens there? Hopefully they'll
And
say
the cutoff is
condensation.
manually made.
Hopefully say precipitation, we got a runoff, okay, and then I'll explain how it goes down
You
to
can
the
see the
groundwater.
drummeling
This is
there.
how we get our water, we pump it up.
Drummeling on
so
this
it's
side,
actually,
inside.
Then also when it does seep into the ground, this is where also roots can take root uptake, and then it can cycle all.
Okay, this is pretty much done. Sorry I didn't get to really show it working on video. You're just going to have to take my word for everything I'm about to say. It worked for about 5 semi pulls. After that, the semi malfunctioned. Of course, the reason is because the tip of the JB Weld had came off, which is the reason why I've said before, JB Weld doesn't work in every situation. People have posted that they have put JB Weld on their cutoff before in that location, and that it works. And mine was on there for 24 hours cured. I checked it thoroughly to make sure that it would spin without breaking off. But in my opinion, I've had JB Weld break off before, no matter if you grind it down, clean the area and so forth and install it. JB Weld is really only as good as the joint, the spot that you're joining it to. Considering that it's such a small amount that was grinded down, I'd have to grind off a lot more here and then put it there. And the strength that it have versus steel is nothing. Now, nothing in comparison, because it's steel itself is just going to be so much stronger, or whatever type of metal that it's going to be used for that. Now, I did order the cutoff lever a few days ago, and the reason for this is because in case this didn't work, I figured, what the heck, the cutoff lever was already worn down, and at the same time, another issue was that when I use JB Weld, over here it's on this side. I don't really feel like taking it apart just to show, but basically the arm is not wide enough. Okay, the trolley sits in here, not enough to your left side. So if I was to hold this like this, the left side. So basically, as the arm comes up to hit it right that location, it's not really touching it too much, and only a tip of it does. So what would happen is it would start to function and malfunction. It needed more JB Weld. And you put JB Weld, I kind of excessively use too much, just because I don't like to have too little, but I need to get more into the habit of using less waste on the JB Weld. Now, when you put it on there, it kind of just, it's like a liquid material that just kind of floats down. So I actually put JB Weld on this thing 4 or 5 times just to get it built up enough before I could actually cut it down. And I have before built a little bit of a base around the cutoff so that I can do it pretty much in one cure. But it's a pain in the ass when that stuff just does not form too well. You have to actually build around it. So you may be waiting days to cure a whole bunch of it on your part. So basically, the issue here is that suggested would be the cutoff, of course, being a new metal piece, and pretty much doing a JB Weld on here is not going to work. I figured it wouldn't work, but I thought, what the hell, might as well try and go with it and see what happens. Other people have posted that it has, which I don't really believe. Maybe under a low stress build, but we're talking about here. This thing's going around at 46, 47, 45 rounds per second. So this thing's cycling really, really fast, and it's gonna tap that cutoff lever right there, even if it's shaped to the way that it doesn't get hit by this. Okay, it's shaped so that it just touches it, but still, what you're looking at though, it's crazy because I cut it down to about the exact same. Like I said, the joint is just not great enough. It's not enough. I'd have to cut all this off and then make a brand new joint, so it's a lot more thicker material there. But instead, why not just get a new cutoff lever? Doesn't make very good sense to have to do the JB weld. However, the JB weld mod on the arm is a good idea for making the trolley cut off sooner, in case your timing is kind of getting bad. Maybe your trigger, when you pull the trigger, it cycles, but then it locks the trigger because it's not pulling. It doesn't stop at the right time, so people will put in a spring. I've done this plenty of times. You put in a more powerful spring to fix that, but overall, or drop your voltage. Overall, some of these modifications can be done, but only to a certain length. So you have to take my word that it was working, and I can kind of prove to you that it has been chipped there, and that's what stopped it from working. And that's the only thing that kept this from being finished completely, which will be finished when I get the new part. I'll just put it in there. As long as it's about the same spot, location, I'll check it for hitting. I'll make the arm the same, good to go, done. But getting this thing in here was a freaking nightmare. Probably one of the hardest and longest installs for just one single, I guess you'd call it a part. Again, this sits at the back left position, so this probably should have been sitting a little bit more this way. However, I can't because the two shells comes together, closes, and has to hit this a certain way. There's JB weld on that for the trigger, which I will say is working fine. I haven't had an issue with that, but again, my modifications are usually to make that less stressful. I usually modify so that the trolley has to just be lifted a tiny bit, and then that causes this not to wear down, and the same with on the trolley. I mean, it makes it a little bit less stressful on those two parts. I think that's pretty much all I can say. There was a lot of modifying, a lot of cutting, the tap-up plate again, everything, and all this was working, like I said, for 5 shots. I knew right away when it started in full auto that this is not working anymore, so I opened it up, and sure enough, so it was definitely going to work. Anyways, like I said, this is not recommended by me. I would use a micro switch, or excuse me, not the micro switch. I'd use a switch more like the one for the MRF MOSFET. I wouldn't use any micro switches. You could simply put them in. There might be one that's recommended to replace, but if anyone's telling you, just drop in some trigger contacts, there's proof here that this is not droppable. There's no way. This would be a nightmare to do, and really, you'd have to be beyond experienced to put this together, because every single part in here that's all connected to all these locations had to be dremeled, modified in some way. So it takes a hell of a lot of experience to put that all together. You can really say, hey, that was too much work and whatnot, but the fact is I get things done, and that's me. So tell me what you guys think. Overall, would I do it again? Hell no. I just hook up. What I would have done is kept the trolley in there and just move the micro switch, put the MRF switch right here, and JB weld it to the shell, and then when this trolley goes forward, it would tap the switch, and I would just check the cutoff point, and we'd be good to go. I mean, you could have done that very quickly in just 24-hour curing, and then you're finished, ready to go. So I'll catch you guys later.